Welcome back. In this lecture, you're gonna learn how to target your core audiences more effectively. Let's dive in. So coming back to our ads manager, if you've been following along in the course from all of the previous sections, you'll also have created your Facebook business account by now, and you'll notice that your beautiful face isn't really showing to the left here. That's because now you're using the business manager, right? We're still using the ads manager, but now we are on the business account, and for us that is R&J Deals, rather than being on our personal account, right? Just a small notice here. Good to know. Now, what we are going to do is using a tool known as the Audience Insights tool. This is an amazing tool to get much more insights to how to target the audience that you are looking for, right? And that's going to help us by having better results and lower cost when it comes to our ads. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the upper left here in the business tools, and we're going to scroll down until we find something that is called Audience Insights. There we are, Audience Insights. So we're just gonna click there. It's under Analyze the Report. So this is where we start digging for information, right? This is where all of our previous learning and also understanding the pixel comes into play. So the first thing we do is to choose an audience, right? We can choose to either dig on everyone on Facebook or only people connected to our page. Well, what we're gonna do, because we wanna learn how to target our core audience, we wanna look at everyone on Facebook, right? We're gonna do this later on when we actually have people coming into our page and when we can use that type of audience. But this is too early for that, right? So we're gonna click on everyone on Facebook. So now what we have in front of us is an amazing tool to dig for information, right? So the only thing that is set up right now is that we are targeting the United States, because that is also where we targeted in our ad. So say for example, remember that we were trying to sell the couples bracelet in the previous ad that we created, and we were targeting long distance relationships. Well, let's say that that ad didn't work out that well. Let's say that not many people clicked, and also those people who clicked, they were really expensive, right? It was an expensive audience because there were so many advertisers who advertised to them. So what we can do is do a little digging and then target a similar audience that is going to be more willing to buy, and that might also be cheaper. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is go to interest and then just write that interest in, right? This is how we dig for more information. So let's start off by writing in long distance relationship. There we go, and I'm going to select the long distance relationship. And now if we look to the right, this is where we get all of the information, right? And we're going to go through all of this, and we're gonna do it step by step, right? So starting from the very top here, the first thing that we can see are the demographics in here, right? We have an estimation on the audience size. We know this isn't completely true because we already targeted and we have a bigger audience than this, even though we specified, but this is an approximation. And here we can see the age and gender of those in the long distance relationship, right? And we can see that it's 70% women and 30% men. And I don't think that's very surprising if we may be stereotypical. And this, though, is very surprising information because remember, we did our targeting somewhere between 18 and 35 or maybe 22 to 40, something like that. But if we look at this data, what we can see is that in the United States that we are targeting, we see that the majority is actually between 55, 64, and even 65 plus. The vast majority is 65 plus. So this came as a huge surprise to me. Now, this isn't true all over Facebook, right? If I remove the United States from here, like this, we can see that the majority of people are actually between 18 and 34. But in the United States, I'm going to add that back in here. In the United States, the majority of people who have an interest in long distance relationship, who has liked such a thing, are between 55 and 65 plus. So clearly with this knowledge, I instantly want to create a split test or an A/B test where rather than going between 24 and 40, I would instead try to target between 55 and 65 plus and see, first of all, does it yield better results? And second off, what about the cost per result? So this would be very interesting, and we're already getting some information. Also note that we're getting all of the ages in here because we haven't specified any age. We haven't specified any gender, and we're gonna go through all of this good stuff in a second. All right, so this is very interesting information. Scrolling down, we can see the relationship status of people. Most of them are actually married. And remember, we excluded married people because we were targeting between 22 and 40. We wanted to target younger people. This may have been a great idea because they might have a higher purchase intent, but it may also have been a terrible idea. There's only one way to find out, and that is to do our A/B testing and see which one is going to work the best. One A/B test where we test this audience to see which works out the best, and another A/B test to try to perhaps include the married people and see where that takes us and what results that gives us. We can see the education level. We can even see the job title. So most people have administrative services, for example. There's a lot of information in here. Moving on, we can go to page likes. And this is very important because remember, a lot of the time we're actually targeting people who are liking certain pages. So a very easy way sometimes to get a new audience is just look at what other page likes do they have and try targeting those pages instead. They might have a lower cost, they might have higher results, and we might get a completely new specificity, right? So scrolling down, we have top categories here. We have book series, TV, network, home, all of that good stuff. And we see their different page likes here as well. So if we're interested in something, we can look that up. For example, if I look in right to here, I can see 3 a.m. thoughts. I have no idea what 3 a.m. thoughts. So I'm going to right click and click on open link in new tab. So by doing this, I can have a look and see, okay, what kind of site is this, or what kind of page is this? What kind of niche am I looking at? Well, follow us for daily nudges of wisdom and inspiration on your feed. So basically this looks like an inspirational page, right? So what we're understanding from this is that people who are in long distance relationship, they're also interested in inspirational pages. And that also means that, of course, if we are going to do our product descriptions, we might be looking at keeping it more inspirational because this audience is interested of that. And that might also mean that we could include this page in our targeting, right? So we were narrowing it down earlier. We were looking at narrowing it down by long distance relationships, and then we had online shopper and engaged shoppers. But what if we would also narrow it down with, for example, 3 a.m. thoughts? That could be yet another A/B test or split test. So there's a lot of great things we can do here. Similarly, looking at the page likes here, we have what is known as the relevance. And of course, most of them are interested in long distance relationships. So that has a relevance number 1. But then we also have life daily. I have no idea what that is. So I might open a link in new tab and just check that out, right? Because this is the second most relevant. And we can see Life Daily's technology driven website focusing on uplifting, inspirational, and positive content. So we're already seeing a pattern here, right? This type of audience is very much in need and interested of inspiration and uplifting content. So that also means that for our ads, we probably want to use a language that is very uplifting, that is very inspirational. So this is already good news in understanding how to reach our specific audience, right? I'm gonna click that one down. And then we have a lot of different more pages we could check out as well. Scrolling up, we can also check out the location, right? And remember, now we're looking at the United States, so we can see where in the United States most people are coming from. But what we could also do is that we could remove the United States and just look at this interest by itself. And then instead of looking at the top cities, we can look at the top countries, just like this. And then we can see, wow, that by far the biggest audience that are in long distance relationships are from the Philippines. So, well, that doesn't mean that in the Philippines they have a high purchase intent, meaning they may not be interested in buying, but it is most certainly worth trying because it's such a high prevalence of long distance relationship people in the Philippines. So this is fantastic information. This is going to lead to a lot of new A/B testing, and also this is going to lead us to aiming our ad designs differently, right? We want to focus on being much more uplifting now. And scrolling down, if I click on see all, we can see, okay, Saudi Arabia, United Emirates. But down here we can see United States of America is 14%. So that is pretty high, right? But 14% is nothing compared to 45%. So that would be yet another split test, right? You could do another split test or just do a completely different campaign that's going to be targeting the Philippines. So very interesting information in here. And then finally, we can go ahead and we can look at activity. We can see what kind of things that they are doing. Like, are they doing a lot of comments, liking a lot of page? clicking on a lot of ads, and we can see ads clicked. This is pretty high already for the selected audience. You can see that there's this gray that is behind here that is people on Facebook, and that is going to be the people on Facebook on average that is beyond what we have specified in here. Going down, we can also see device users is really high in mobile, right? This is no surprise whatsoever because mobile is getting bigger and bigger. And I think my face is covering a little bit here, but what is really standing out is that it's filled with Android user. I think Android is much bigger in the Philippines, by the way. So that makes a lot of sense. So we're getting a lot of fantastic information here. And similarly, if we go back to demographics and I add in United States again, there we go. We can see that we have ones who are in color and ones who are in gray. And the ones who are in gray is going to be the average on Facebook, right? But now, because we have the ones in blue, we're getting a very different result because we're targeting, remember, the United States in here. So we're getting a different result. So this is a fantastic way to dig for information. And to the left here, just like we did, we can do a lot of things. We can target by location, age and gender. We can target by interest like we just did. We can also decide to use connections, right? And I'm going to show you how to use those connections. So I'm going to clear all of this. I'm going to remove United States and I'm going to remove the interest as well. And of course, we can add in more interest should we want that. But I'm going to add in more, remove the interest. So what we can do here is that we can use connections and pages such as people connected to. So if we were to add in our page in here, R&J deals, then we would get information about the audience who are visiting our page. Now, of course, we're not getting that information because we don't have that many people yet. Well, probably none at all if you just created your page. So we're not going to get any information. But once we do have a little bit of people, let's take another one of our page. We can do Robin and Jesper here. So adding in Robin and Jesper, we're going to get a little bit of information, right? We can see the age and gender here, like we spoke about before. We can see the relationship status, the vast majority are single, the educational level. We can go and check out what kind of page likes that they have, right? All of that information is in here. We can see their location, especially if we look at top countries, we can say, okay, Pakistan is really big. We used to do specifically videos targeted to Pakistan and India, and as you can see, that really reflected on the audience. So that makes a lot of sense. And then we can see the activity and we can see, okay, ads click, that's pretty high, right? Post like, yeah, we're getting a lot of engagement already. So we're going to get a lot of information from this. So what we can do here are twofold. One, we can search for audiences and then use that in our targeting and then just click this down and click here and then go back to our ads manager. But what we can also do is that we can save this down as an audience, right? And then by saving this down as an audience, we can later on use this audience in our ads. Remember, there is a section up there that says saved audiences, and we can use that from our audience insights where we are now, and we can also use that for our custom audiences, which we're going to go through in the next lecture, and we can also use that for our lookalike audiences. So there is a dedicated sections for all of our saved audiences. And remember from the previous lecture, we can even from the core audience that we have in our current ad, we can save that audience as well. So whatever audience you make, wherever they might be, you can save them down and you can use them whenever. So if you're playing around here and you find something that you think that is going to serve you and you want to save this audience down, then simple, all you go do is click on save and then you save it down. What you can also do, of course, is that you can open one if you've already saved previous ones before and then check that one out. Now finally, scrolling down to the left, we also have advanced feature. We can look at things such as language, relationship status, education, work, market segment, politics, life events, etc. Nothing different from what we've already done with our core targeting. It's just that here we're using the analytical tools before actually doing the core targeting. So this is a fantastic tool to use. Remember, you find it in the upper left in here, and then just scrolling down and you're going to find audience insights. And once you're done, you can either save it down, use it, you can create the ad right from here, or you can just click on the upper left and go back to Ads Manager. I'm not going to save any of these down. We can leave and then we're going to be back right where we started. Fantastic! This is such an important tool to improve your core targeting. Now in the next lecture, we're going to be creating our first custom audience. Super important. You don't want to skip anything in this entire section. See you in the next lecture.